I'm in Eland, Wisconsin today, E-L-A-N-D, at the junction of the Wawash and the Mountain Bay Trail. The Wawash is this grassy trail off to my right here. It heads that way north into Wittenberg. Heads that way south down towards Clintonville, Wisconsin. It's a north-south trail. The other trail is the Mountain Bay Trail. That's to my left here. That goes, I think, about 9 miles that direction to a town whose name I don't remember. And it goes about 80 miles in that direction to Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's easy to find this parking spot on a map. That's the Eland post office, so if you look up point of interest search on your nav system and just have it take you to the post office, it'll bring you right to this parking area where I'm parked at. I'm going to head that way first. I think that's west. I don't know how far it goes to the west, but I'm going to go to the west until it ends, and then I'm going to come back this direction and go east and try and get in 40 miles. We'll see how far it takes me. Well, here's my first clue where I'm at. I'm 2 miles into this ride, and apparently Hatley is 3 miles farther up, and Burnham Wood is 7 miles farther up. I did not know that this trail also went to Burnham Wood. The trail that I started at crossing back there in Eland, the Wawash Trail, also ends up in Burnham Wood. I rode that one the other day. But it was only 4 miles. It must go directly to Burnham Wood. Apparently going this route, I'm going to route around through some town called Hatley, 3 miles up here. So far, this is just a stunning ride. There's another sign that's apparently for snowmobilers. I don't know what it means. But this is all just kind of upland meadow. Hasn't even been much farmland. It's all just been meadow and a little bit of light forest. So far, beautiful. Yeah, this trail's pretty easy on the eye. This is one of the dozens of little lakes that dot this part of northern Wisconsin. I don't even know the name. I was going to stop on my way back and take some video of the thing. There's a park right here. I'll have to stop and see what it is. I wasn't even going to bother stopping this time, but then I saw this gaggle swimming by. I assume those are ducks. Loons don't usually go in packs. But yeah, everything about this trail so far is pretty awesome. I'll let you pause the video if you want and read that. But apparently this used to be a town by the name of Norrie. It's not on the map, so it's one of them towns that used to be a place and no longer is. But I'll zoom in on this, and if you want, just pause or this will disappear in about 5 seconds. Dang it, I missed him, but right up there, about 100 feet, 2 deer just crossed the trail. About 100 feet behind me, a ginormous buck crossed as well, so I'll ride up there with this thing in my hand and see if I can get him. Well, I'm a hunter, but I'm not a very good hunter. But one of the things that apparently deer like is cedar, because I've driven through about 1,000 acres so far of what is a huge cedar grove. Until I came to this bridge, which the interpretive sign behind me tells me is a 1/4 mile long, what used to be a railroad bridge across this bog. This is all kind of marshy area. I'll pause right here in about 5 seconds. You pause right here, and if you want to read this, otherwise it's going to disappear in about 5 seconds. I'm not going to lie to you, I do not know where I'm at. This is some little town along the trail. I might ride down to that school there and see what it has to say for itself, but I started picking up road noise. I'm about 6 miles in. I started picking up road noise about 1.5 miles back, just after I cleared that cedar grove. So I got to be near a state highway somewhere. Well, there you go, Hatley Elementary School. I guess I'm in Hatley. There's a church back there playing tunes to me, so it must be high noon. I did not see this town on a map, so I'm not on Highway 45. I don't exactly know where this is. Somewhere north of Eland. North and I'm guessing west. Alright, I'm 9.1 miles in, and that right there explains the road noise I've been hearing for a while. Like the last 2 miles I've been hearing road noise get closer and closer. That's Wisconsin State Highway 29. It's a regular old 4-lane controlled access expressway. What you see turning there explains the smell I've been smelling for the last half mile or so. The trail cuts right between the state highway and the county landfill. Burnham Wood is somewhere up there. It can't be far. Alright, I want you to pause here and read this sign. I'll try and get the whole thing in, because there's something back there about a mile I want to show you. Well, I'm still headed west as best I can tell on the Mountain Bay Trail. I had to have made a glancing blow at Wittenberg and never seen it, or Burnham Wood, because I'm way past where I would have passed it. And I've lost State Highway 29 in exchange for this beautiful, bucolic, is that the word? Wisconsin farmland with these perfectly manicured farms, and they're still operational windmills, which unfortunately is telling me exactly what I've known all along. I am riding into a stiff headwind. Hopefully when I get out to the turnaround point, that breeze will be a tailwind on the way back. If luck holds, what they usually do is die as soon as I turn around. Dang it, there's not a very good way for me to show these without getting in front of them. So pause there and read the part on the right. Left. I'll get out of the way so that you can read the part on the right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we'll go look at the river. Well, I'm not exactly sure how this little knee-deep waterway is what they're talking about in that sign, but it sure is beautiful down here. This is pretty. Where that sign back there is a park without a name. But it must be the local hangout, because as soon as I got done videotaping that sign, 2 carloads of teenagers pulled up. I don't know what they're doing. But this is beautiful. This would be a beautiful place in the fall. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of sawdust. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm obviously in a mill town. See if I can get up here farther and see what it says on that water tower. That's obviously a lumber mill, because that's about a 120-foot high pile of sawdust there. And there's a whole bunch of others that have been flattened off. There you go. Weston is what this town calls itself. I'm not sure what the town it is. So far, all I've seen is light industrial and a couple of municipal buildings. But there's another trail paved running dead parallel to this one. And I see what appears to be a mountain up there. Green Bay is on the other end of this trail. I'm going to guess that's the mountain, so this trail's probably coming to an end. We'll see. I don't see any houses. I don't know if anybody lives here. Hopefully we'll come across housing somewhere. Alright, I think I'm at the end of the line. There was a park back there about a quarter of a mile. Had all kinds of detail about this trail and why it's here. This Mountain Bay Trail runs from Rib Mountain in Wausau to Green Bay. It gave no indication that the trail was about to end, and there's a marker right back there that says I'm at mile 8. But then you arrive here. I'm guessing that's the untrail finished rail bed, probably used by snowmobiles in the winter. You can see the signs and markers are still there, but that's not good for biking. So this is going to be the turnaround point for me. Weston, Wisconsin. I'm about 18 miles from where I started. We'll turn around and head back. Hopefully the wind will hold and I'll have a fly back. Alright, we'll do the crank it up section, where I'll just ride and let you listen. I'm in 3.6 here. I'm at 7. I'd like to take credit for that, but I got the wind in my back and I'm going downhill. Alright, there was an interpretive sign back there by that landfill that I was looking at. I said to remember what it said, because this is an example of what I keep seeing along here. I wondered what the heck these things were. This is apparently along the line of what one of the other signs called the terminal moraine. This is where the leading edge of the glacier ended when the glacier stopped advancing. Then they just sat there and they melted, and then they dropped their load of rubble right where they were. And there's a bunch of places along this trail where there's chits. It looks like a truck pulled up and just dropped loads of rocks. And they're just sticking up out of the ground everywhere. Come across one place back there, there's a whole bunch of hard scrabble cows working up a sweat just trying to walk through this mess. It's pretty cool to see though. It always amazes me when I go through these little towns on these rail trails that you can actually see the evolution and de-evolution of these towns. And this is one of the best examples of it. Right back where that sign is the rail trail, where the railroad line used to go through. At some point, that's where the town grew up. At some point, the railroad line was replaced by highway. This is what used to be State Highway 29, I believe, is what it's called. And you can see all the way along, every one of these main streets, you can see the closed down businesses, and you can tell exactly what they used to be. And the only thing that's ever open in any of these towns is these two places right here. U.S. Post Office, they never close anything, and the bar. But I mean, down there's a grocery store that's been closed, a hardware store that's closed. You can see that thing there used to be a grocery store. This thing right behind me used to be a hotel of some type or another. All along these main streets that used to be state highways, these towns grew up and then they died. About a half a mile behind me you can hear road noise from what replaced the highway through town. It's the expressway that goes around town. And the town grew up when the rail line showed up. It became an adult when the road showed up. And when the road detoured the town, it just up and died, because there's nothing but closed down businesses on both sides of the roads on these little towns like this. And they're all the same. This is one of the best examples. You can see exactly how it happened, and you can hear the replacement road behind me. Alright, I'm back in this little town, Eland, where I began. And this is even a better example of what I was talking about. This town actually had two rail lines that crossed. One coming east-west, that's this Mountain Bay Trail, across the state of Wisconsin, and one going north-south through the state of Wisconsin. That one's to the right. At some point, the passenger traffic was replaced by automobile traffic, and Highway 45, which is the north-south arterial through Wisconsin, used to go there. Highway 26, which is the east-west arterial in this part of the state, used to go there. And you can see exactly what happened. I mean, that there is every mom-and-pop general store ever built. That building there still has the pull-up drive-through behind it. That used to be a bank. That's a service station of some type or another. Behind me, on the other side over here, are the concrete pads of what used to be a gas station. But at some point, these highways got so busy that they moved them around these little bitty towns. Highway 45 is still the primary north-south arterial. It runs about a mile east of town over there. Highway 26 is a 4-lane, 75-mile-an-hour expressway. It runs about 2 miles south of us behind me. And when they moved the highways, Eland supernova, just like every one of these little towns does, and left behind the same white dwarfs everyone leaves behind. That over there is a bar that's barely hanging on. And that over there is a post office that has no reason to exist. But you can see how these towns evolved and devolved just by riding through them and watching what you're seeing. Alright, I'm at 37 miles. That's exactly what it was, out and back, from Eland to Weston and back. And man, that is a beautiful ride. Beautiful. That's a beautifully maintained trail. My hat's off to the folks in Marathon County who've maintained that, because that's a lovely ride. My legs are telling me, though, that I still got some in me, so I'm going to follow this trail on south. About half a mile south of town, these two trails diverge again, and I'm going to take the Wawash Trail to the right. I rode it the other day, and I judged it kind of harshly, but I think I might have been too harsh. It wasn't that bad a trail, so I'm going to try that again today. My legs are telling me they still got some in me, so we'll go that way. Alright, so I'm going to get this right today. I did mess this up the other day. The trail that goes to the left goes towards Green Bay, east across the state. The trail to the right goes south into Wittenberg. We're going to go on the Wawash Trail to the right, south into Wittenberg. Yeah, I might have been a little harsh on this trail the other day. The weather was crappy, it was kind of rainy. It was hard pedaling because everything was wet. But this is more of that cedar grove, upland meadow kind of thing they got going on. Trail isn't anywhere near as well maintained as the one west of Eland. Yeah, I mean, it's rideable. It sure would be nice if they would mow along here, though, because that does get to be kind of a pain when the weeds are whipping at your ankles all the time. But this isn't bad. It's really a nice setting. Man, I had almost forgotten this part of the trail. This was that road I was talking about in Eland, the expressway that replaced the road that went through town. This is, I think, Highway 26. It goes east-west. It's got to be an even number. And this trail crosses... To continue on, you cross right across this expressway. At this place where everybody turns around in spite of the no U-turn sign. So I got to go across there. All right, I'm at Lisa's Sweet Shop in Wittenberg, Wisconsin. I saw this yesterday when I was or 2 days ago when I was riding the Wawash Trail, but they had just closed. And man, if you get through here, you have got to stop here. This is all unbelievably good-looking stuff. I'd love to make room on my bike for that pie. I threw away as much Gatorade as I could to make room for some of these muffins. But I mean, they've got everything. That cake's over here. This bread aisle is going to cost me some money. I might have to throw away the rest of the Gatorade. I can live without water. I'm going to have some of this bread. And now that I've put on 50 miles, this is going to be my nice healthy lunch. I'm told that is a maple bacon fritter that they've won awards for. So that ought to replace some calories fast. Okay, now I know you got to stop here because those buns and that fritter and that donut cost me $4.38. I can't even get a cup of coffee for that in downtown Milwaukee anymore. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. That chocolate donut didn't even make it across the street to my bike, so I had to go over there and get a second one. This is a phenomenal place. If you get anywhere near Wittenberg, you got to stop here at this Lisa's Sweet Shop. It was incredible. You know, aside from that sweet shop in Wittenberg, this might be the biggest advantage of this Wawash Trail. I'm going to shut up for 30 seconds and just let you listen to what I'm listening to. I'm about 2.5 miles south of Eland, headed back to my car. And I mean, there's nothing to hear. I mean, there is not one sign of civilization out here. Nothing but wildlife, and I haven't seen a single person again today. All right, I'm back at where I started. The tally was 50 miles right on the money. 37 miles to Weston and back on the Mountain Bay Trail. And I did another 13 miles on this Wawash Trail just to reevaluate. And here's my take on it. These are both perfectly serviceable trail. The Wawash looks like that most of the way. It's perfectly fine. I mean, you got 2 gravel paths. It's perfectly fine for 2 riders. The Mountain Bay looks just like this most of the way, almost all of the way that I rode on it. And they're both perfectly fine trails, but the Wawash is a gently used Chevy Avalanche and sitting next to the Mountain Bay Trail, which is a brand new Cadillac Escalade. One of them looks much better than the other, but they're both perfectly fine. I'd ride both of them. The Wawash actually has a much more mature and better canopy. So I'd give them both a try. I'd start right here in this town called Eland, though, because you can get to both of them right from here. Oh my God, one last thing. You may think that your life is complete without one of these maple bacon fritter things from Lily's Sweet Shop in Wittenberg. I'm here to tell you it is not. If you get anywhere near Wittenberg, you got to stop at that place and get one of these. Maple topping and Newski's bacon mixed in. Oh,